Hello everyone, we're going to start our little mini unit here on constructions. So you will need a compass and straight edge every single day. There won't be a test. This will just help us review for the regions and the parts with constructions, and it's also a great review of vocabulary. So let's jump into this. All right, so our focus today is on isosceles triangles, parallel lines, partitioning of segments, and squares. So our first one says, triangle ABC is shown below. Is it an equilateral triangle? Justify your response. So you should be thinking to yourself what an equilateral triangle means. It means that all three sides are congruent. So 3 congruent segments. It also means 3 congruent angles. So you could really pick if you wanted to prove the congruent angles or congruent sides. Definitely congruent sides are easier. So the way I'm going to do this with my compass is I'm going to draw one long straight line with my straight edge. And then I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to measure the length of each of these sides. So I've got AB here. So now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make a mark for AB. And then I'm just going to write that down. This is AB. And then I'm going to do the same thing for BC. So measure that length. And now I can see that BC is longer. So now I'm going to come down here and show that BC is longer. And that's enough. So since AB does not equal BC, triangle ABC is not equilateral. Because it would need all 3 sides equal. And that's it. If they were the same, A, B, and BC, then I'd also have to measure AC to show that all 3 are equal. All right, 2. We're going to construct a line parallel to AB through point C. All right, we did this a long time ago. The best way to do this is we're going to construct a rhombus. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to put 2 points on line AB. And can you visualize the rhombus I'm trying to make? Can you see that rhombus? Right, so that rhombus is what I'm trying to actually make. All right, whoops. Okay, so now I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to measure the bottom of the rhombus. And I know that a rhombus has 4 congruent sides. So then I'm going to move this up and swing. So now I've got the bottom and the top of my rhombus the same. And now I'm going to measure from this point to C. And then I'm going to move over. I'm going to swing. And I'm done. Now I said rhombus. I actually should have said parallelogram because I didn't know in the beginning. It just happened to work out that this distance was going to be the same as this one. I could have made it that way, but technically I was actually just making a parallelogram. So now I'm not going to connect. I'm just going to draw the line through here, and these are parallel because I made essentially a parallelogram. So this would be parallel, and I'm done. So let's do that again. So we're going to take our straight edge, excuse me, our pencil, and we're going to put points on AB. And I want to make these points here so that I can visualize, once again, the parallelogram. So I can see, oops, try that again here. Oop, not text pen, I wanted magic pen, there we go. So I can look at this and I can say, okay, I can see how this is going to look. Now I'm going to take my compass and actually do the constructions. So I'm going to measure from those 2 points. And now I'm going to bring it down below and swing. And then I'm going to measure from B to C. So I've got that distance. And then I'm going to bring it over to the other point and swing. And then I can draw my line through the intersection in C, and now I have parallel lines. All right, trisecting AB. So this is a little tricky, but basically what they want me to do is they want me to break up AB into 3 congruent pieces. So the way I do this is I take my straight edge and I'm going to draw at any angle of my choosing another long line. And then I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to break that new segment I just made into 3 congruent segments. And I don't have to use all of it. So what I mean is that I can make this 1, and move it over, 2, 3. Oops. And you see how I have this stuff down here, this extra stuff? That's fine. It doesn't matter. I just needed it to help me make the 3 congruent segments. So I've got my 3 congruent segments here. 1, 2, 3. All right, now you're going to take your straight edge and you are going to connect the last mark you made to the bottom of AB. So you've got this triangle looking thing. And now your goal is going to be to take your compass and you are going to construct parallel lines. So see this line right here I'm highlighting in yellow? You're going to take this and make a parallel line here and here. So we're going to do this with our compass, but I'm just showing you what it's going to look like. When you do that, these 3 will now be congruent. So you will have trisected segment AB. All right, so let's actually go and do that with our compass. So let me get rid of that stuff. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your compass, and we actually are going to make rhombuses this time. So take your compass and measure the opening of the congruent segments that you have. And in fact, it should be already at the right size. I shouldn't have moved mine. So I have this size right now. Okay, take that and you are going to mark the bottom of the rhombus. So you already have the side and now you have the bottom. And now you're going to mark the top and then do it again from the bottom. Don't change your compass, but now from this mark, you see my line starting, through and go past till it hits AB, you've got your first line. Now do it again. So this is already the right distance. This is already the correct distance, right? So all you have to do is swing at the top and swing on the side. And then connect. So now these should all be congruent. It's easy to mess up a little bit and they don't look perfect, but that's the idea. All right, let's try it again. So this time we're going to do this. Oh my goodness, they want 5 congruent segments. So you're going to take your straight edge and you're going to make a line segment. And you're going to take your compass. And we are going to make 5 congruent segments. So I'm not going to open my compass too much because that's a lot of segments. So we've got 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, and then 5. Okay, connect from the bottom of the last one to the bottom of the segment you're trying to partition. All right, now you're going to make a bunch of those rhombuses. So you only have to do the bottom and then go up to the next one, do the top, and then do the side. And then connect, and make sure you go all the way across with that straight edge, and then do it again. Whoops. So swing, and then swing. And you can actually just do the compass work and go back and draw the lines in a moment. So if I just go up to the next one and swing, and then go to the X and swing, and then do it again. Swing and swing. But if that's too confusing for you, then go ahead and stop and draw. And now I'm just going to draw each of those. So I've got that one, and look how nicely we're going through those 2 marks. So what I've essentially done is I have broken this into 5 congruent pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is definitely tricky. Do your best. Your pieces might not look that congruent, but just try to be as accurate as you can. All right, next we want to construct the square. So give this a try for a moment. There's lots of ways to construct the square. One of the things you might be thinking of is you need to have a right angle. So one way that we can make a right angle is to do a perpendicular bisector. So if I take my straight edge and I open it more than halfway, and I swing above and below, and then I do it again, and I draw my line segment through those 2 intersections, I've made a right angle. Well, now I want you to think about what I know with a square. A square has 4 congruent sides. So I have lots of ways to come up with a square right now. One way could be to simply measure the length of this segment right here. So this segment is about that big. Might extend it a little bit, that's okay. And then if I swing this up, and then if I come over here to where this has been extended, and I swing up, and then I can swing on the other side. So I basically created a rhombus, right? 4 congruent sides, but I have a right angle. So that forces this to be a square. So my square is right here. Definitely not the only way to make a square. Feel free to come up with other ways. Just make sure you're positive it is a square based on the properties. Now they want us to construct an isosceles triangle with this base right here and this leg. So this isn't too bad. And you can always pause the video and try it yourself. But I'm going to make a long segment on the bottom here with my straight edge. And I'm going to measure the length of the base they want me to have. So here's my base. It's that long. So now I'm just going to come down here and figure out the length of that on this one. So there's my base. And now I'm just going to get the length of the leg. So my leg is from here to here. So take that leg distance, come down here, and I really could swing either above or below. It's my choice where I want my triangle to angle. I guess I'll swing, let's see if I can fit it up. Might be kind of tight. I think I'm going to go down. So I'm going to swing down here, and then I'm going to jump to the other side and keep that compass the same. So this intersection is going to be where the two legs meet. So there's my isosceles triangle. This, remember, is the base. And then I took the two legs and made them congruent using that length from above. And I'm done. All right, construct an isosceles right triangle. So same idea as the square. I'm going to draw a line segment, and I'm going to create a perpendicular bisector. So I'm going to open my compass a little more than half. I'm going to swing above and below. Swing above and below. And now I've got a right angle. So now I have to make sure that it's isosceles as well. So that means that the two legs must be congruent. So I'm going to measure the segment right here. Pretty close to the end of it. It doesn't actually matter. I just have to make sure that the legs are congruent. So now I'm going to swing up and mark that here. So these two spots here and here make the legs equivalent, congruent. So then the hypotenuse must be there. So since these are congruent, and I already made a right angle here, this is an isosceles right triangle. All right, so go ahead and do day one. Use the notes, use this video to help you follow along. And I can always help you when I get back. All right, thanks everyone.